Hello there, Isolene. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Wonderful. I hear you loud and clear.
Awesome.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So I'm just going to share this right quick.
Okay.
Okay, so how was your day?
I had a good day today, and yours?
Good. It was a good day. Um,
Awesome.
People are just coming in as we
Okay.
prepare to get started. I just want to share really quickly for those of you who are new to the Other Woman Facebook page. The Other Woman is a magazine that is published by Candy Candy Publishing 3 times a year. And the mission, I love to read the mission. The mission of the Other Woman, she says, "It is my mission to help you discover the silenced and often suppressed woman resting within and infuse a desire to live courageously without reservation or regrets." And I like to use the Other Woman magazine platform on social media to help women to have a voice, to use their voice, to be who they are, to be who they were created to be, and to speak their truth, their truth. And Isolene, we have known each other for how many years?
Uh,
Probably
Probably about
12.
no, no
You
more
were
than
going
that. I've been
more?
in Tallahassee 11 years, so
Okay.
I'm thinking more like 18 years even.
Wow.
Yeah,
You know what? You're probably right. I'm talking to.
the one that doesn't do numbers, right?
Yes, my goodness.
Yeah,
And you are, we met in Pensacola, Florida.
right.
You're in Tallahassee, Florida now. You
Hmm.
are an empty nester, although you love being around your family. You love family
Absolutely.
time. Yes, you
Yeah,
got what,
absolutely.
4 children, three
Uh,
boys, one precious princess girl. And
Absolutely.
how many grandchildren do you have?
12.
You have 12 grandchildren. I don't
12
think I knew that. I don't think I knew that about you.
Really? Oh
I don't
God.
think so.
We'd have to count them up.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, no wonder you're so busy. My goodness.
Girl,
And
yeah.
you also just launched, what, a few months ago, a ministry. It
Uh-huh.
is called Titus 2 Reloaded.
Reloaded, Titus.
Titus
Yeah.
2 Reloaded. Tell us
Absolutely.
quickly a little bit about Titus 2 Reloaded and why you created that.
Well, Titus 2, I created Titus 2 because of the need for young adult women uh, to transition from womanhood to motherhood. And even for some of the older women, what we do is we take the biblical text, Titus 2, 3 to 5, and the ministry is based off that, teaching them how to dress, how to do parenting, basic life home skills. So that's basically what we do, and mentorship.
Okay.
In a
Okay.
nutshell.
And that is so needed. So needed.
Yes,
And it wasn't
absolutely.
shortly after you started that you tested positive for the
Absolutely.
coronavirus, right?
Yes, yes,
Let's
absolutely.
start at the very beginning. When the coronavirus first showed his or her face, whichever it is, male or female, neutral, where was your mind? Did you believe it? Were you apprehensive to all the hype? Did you think it was real? How did you feel about it?
Well, in the beginning, and let me say thank you for having me on the show this afternoon. But in the beginning, I thought um, I was a bit apprehensive about it, and
Mhm.
I until it hit me when it hit home, it became so real. We think, yeah, I thought I'll never get this virus, because I'm always cleaning, always sanitizing, but life happened, and it started around I would say about the 17th when the symptoms first showed up, and I
Of
only know
March.
yes, 17th of March. And I don't
Mhm.
know, I only know that because of hindsight. Looking backwards on when these particular type of symptoms that they tell me was when that did happen was March 17th. I was at work and I was really tired and just didn't feel like doing anything. And
Okay,
so,
stop right there. So you were
mhm,
at work,
yes, yes, yes.
and do you mind sharing where you work at? Well, let's
Uh,
not share that. You're in Tallahassee. You're at
yes,
work. Is it a
uh-huh.
small office, large office? Are people in and out? Is it a busy place? Set
Well,
the environment.
it is a busy place, and
Okay.
they had put you know, they started doing the coronavirus screening, and
Uh-huh.
so during the midst of that screening, right smack in the middle of it is when I caught the coronavirus. We had not been issued PPE yet. We, you know, there was no mask, there was no there. All we had was sanitizer. So yeah, right in the middle of that. The office is small. My office that I work in, it's
Okay.
four of us that work in the office, and so with the four of us there, and I work at, you know, directly contact with the patients as well as alongside another office.
And
So
it's
I
only four
four people
people in
in
your
my
office.
office, and out of the four people, one of course was in another office, but out of the three that of us that was there, two of us tested positive, along with one of the workers that I work alongside that's in another office.
Okay.
So,
Hold on. Okay, so two of you all tested positive. What was
yes.
it that made you, why did you go get tested?
Well, I went and got tested because I had been to the hospital two times when I had my test. I didn't get tested until I got treated. So it takes a long time, and I'm probably not now. It probably doesn't take as long as it took me to get tested because on the 22nd, which March 22nd was my birthday, and I had traveled home to Pensacola and come back home only to take an ambulance ride that same day to the hospital because I was very hot and lethargic and, you know, just kind of out of it. And so my temperature got really high and I called the ambulance, you know, and they came out to get me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so you called the ambulance. You were
I did.
coming back from Pensacola, going to Tallahassee, and you started to feel ill
I
enough to
did.
call an ambulance.
When I got
Okay,
home,
when
when I
you
got
got
home, I
home.
took my shower because I was so cold taking the ride from Pensacola. My bones ached and I was so cold and just couldn't warm up. So when I got home, I took a warm shower, a hot shower, because I wanted to warm my body up. And that was the wrong thing to do. And that's when I sat on my sofa and that's when everything started. Because of
And you were
me
feeling fine. You were feeling fine
I was feeling
before.
fine. Absolutely. Yeah, I was feeling fine. You know, like I say, the 17th, 18th, 19th, and the 20th, those days I was just tired. I was just very exhausted. And even on that Saturday morning, prior on which was the 21st, but it really hit me the night of the 22nd.
Okay, let me ask you. You said you were really tired. Now, you're very busy anyway. I mean,
Yes.
you got, even though your grandchildren are not with you, your home is busy, in and out. I mean, I've been there. You are
Yeah.
my Tallahassee fun house. When I come to Tallahassee, I'm there. And your fam, it's in and out. It's busy. The
Yeah.
phone's going. You know, it's like Grand
Mhm.
Central Station.
Mhm.
So you're tired anyway. So what was
Yeah.
different about this particular day that you called the ambulance? What was so different about this tired than all the other days that you were tired?
This tire was, and I can say a deathly tire. Like I
Mm,
just can't go another step. And of course, as you say, you know that I'm always moving around, always busy. And when it slowed me down like it did, and there was like a transition, almost, you know, like a transition to, oh, I can walk now, and no, I can't walk at all thing.
wow.
And so, yeah, that's the difference between the tiredness that I felt, and my body started to just feel heavy, you know, and I thought something's got to be wrong. And then when I
Okay.
got,
Okay. So you called the ambulance.
mm-hmm,
Ambulance came to get you.
right.
And then what happened?
When they came to get me, they showed up here. They would not come into the apartment. They asked if I could walk, and I told them yes, I could walk, and they made me walk out the apartment down the stairs.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, I'm going to be interrupting you because I'm going to ask questions that I'm
Yeah.
sure others want to know. Okay, so you called the ambulance. The
Hmm.
ambulance shows up at your house and they did not come in.
No, they did
They
not come
asked you
to the
if you could
dwelling.
walk.
Absolutely
Okay, and you walked to the ambulance
correct.
with no assistance.
No assistance at all.
Okay, did you ask why?
I did, and she did. And what the ambulance, the paramedic said, she said that they were not allowed to come inside the dwelling because of the pandemic, and especially if we could, if I was able to walk. And
But they didn't
so
know you had it at that time. They had no
they did
idea if you
not
had
know I
it.
had it at all. And
Okay,
yeah, I had not tested at that time.
okay, okay. So you're in the hospital.
So when we arrived to the hospital, I thought, with this pandemic going on, feeling the way that I was feeling, and I thought when I arrived there, it'd be a team of people waiting for me. But as I said earlier, when when they think that you have the coronavirus or you have the coronavirus, they don't come to you to help you. They get away from you, and that's when it got really real for me. Like, okay, I'm coming in the ambulance, and typically when someone comes in the ambulance, they take you know priority, but that wasn't the case, and they put me in an isolated room.
Okay. At that time, you're in an isolated room.
Hmm.
Did you have the opportunity to call any family member or call someone to let them know what was going on?
When my son had come here, I called both my boys to come, and one of them, Javon, made it here um, before Joffrey did, and he was here to take my granddaughter, of course, because she was here with me. He was here to take her to his house and let me go off in the ambulance. But it is at that time, Lavinda, when, as I said, it becomes so real, you realize, okay, I'm having to go alone. When of course me, when I'm sick, I'm accustomed to having one of my children beside me,
Right.
and that wasn't the case this time.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was
So
a
you're in this isolated room, and then
Mhm.
what happens?
So while I'm in the room, of course, they close you in, and it's this glass doors so that they can see you. And I feel like a lab rat is what I felt like initially. Um, they check the temperature. They get someone in to do your blood. Also, they check the blood pressure, did chest X-rays, swabbed my nose, and that was it. And but no one was in the room. Of course, they stayed out of the room. So I sat there and waited for about 45 minutes to an hour before someone else came back into the isolated room.
Did you think coronavirus at this time because you had not been tested up to this point? Were you thinking that you might have because of the way they were treating you and isolating you?
I didn't think that I had it. I really didn't. And the reason that I say I didn't think I had it, because I didn't have the coughing. The cough wasn't there, and I was just not paying attention because here it is. I'm thinking, oh, I'll never catch that. I mean, you know how I am. I clean, 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 and and
Hmm.
sanitize. So for
Hmm.
that reason, I didn't know. I didn't think coronavirus. I sure didn't. I thought, I was coming down with something other, and then also I thought, well, maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I overdid it because we had received the word that we were going to go on furlough. So I didn't want to leave my office in a mess. So I
Right.
worked really hard at getting that together, and being sure stuff was done. So at that point, no, I did not think I had coronavirus. Even when the doctor came in and he spoke with me and he asked me where had I been, it was only until that point that coronavirus even came up, you know, for me. Other than when the paramedic said, with the pandemic, even when she said that, I still didn't think I had the coronavirus. No.
Okay, so how long were you in the hospital? And what was your diagnosis for this extreme fatigue that you were feeling?
I stayed overnight, and they called it more of a flu like. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, just adult flu symptoms is all they called it.
okay. So you
That was
stayed
the diagnosis.
overnight and then they
Uh-huh.
sent you home.
They sent me home. And even
Okay.
during that, the craziest thing is, and had I known, I probably would have rejected the fact of taking a Motrin. They gave me a Motrin. So I think that they suspected that I had coronavirus and they just used that Motrin as a catalyst.
But you didn't know you had corona. What did
I
you?
did not.
Why was the Motrin a red flag for you?
Well, that's just hindsight. Just looking back.
Oh,
Yeah, just
okay,
looking back.
okay,
Because
okay,
like I said, I did not suspect coronavirus. And so for that reason, it just didn't dawn on me. I thought, and so much so, Lavenda, they told me take Tylenol. And then I remember the nurse saying, well, we're going to give you this Motrin. So I came home after the hospital. I came home, and what I did, what do I do? Every 4 hours, I take a Tylenol. Every 6 hours, I take a Motrin. And I was killing myself, I felt, because the Motrin, you're not supposed to take Motrin if you
okay.
have the coronavirus.
And I'm glad you said that. Let me just put this disclaimer out there for those who are watching. We're not experts. We're not doctors. We're not experts on the coronavirus, COVID-19. This is strictly based on Isolena's experience. She's just
Mhm.
sharing her experience of the coronavirus. So anything that we
Absolutely.
say, it's all based on what she went through. So hindsight, you said you found out or you heard that Motrin is not good if you
Right.
have coronavirus. But
Absolutely.
they sent you home with this flu-like virus and gave you Motrin.
Right.
And on top of that, you went home and took Tylenol.
Exactly.
So did you ever start feeling better?
I did not start feeling better until like maybe 2.5, 3 weeks later because it got progressively worse. On
Okay, so what did you
Tuesday,
do?
well, I came home because they told me to get some rest. And I came home and because I had my granddaughter, I gave her my bedroom and I stayed on the sofa because I can, isolate her away from me better. And I'd rather have the kids come over and feed her in my room. And so, and I just, that's when at that point, I'm thinking coronavirus. What if I have the coronavirus? And then, so at that point, I sat on that sofa. And it seemed like the more I sat on that sofa, the worse I got. My bones were aching more, which is why they gave me told me to take
Motrin.
the Tylenol. They said take the Tylenol and the Motrin for the fever. And so,
Wow.
yeah, and so I've had kids. If they have a bad temperature, I rotate Motrin and Tylenol. Well, for me, that and for someone with the coronavirus, and I'm talking about me, Motrin is not good. So Tuesday, Wednesday, I really, I think Tuesday was the last day that I could remember until that Thursday because I was in so much pain. I got progressively worse and it just escalated really quick. And so much so I couldn't lift my head off the pillow. I couldn't really get up to get to the bathroom. When I got up to get to the bathroom, I was rushing because it was just so hard for me to get off the sofa. And then the temperature started setting in, and I started pouring in. I'm watching the clock now every 6 hours. I set my alarm on my phone, and I'm taking this medication. And on Thursday, Holy Spirit said, "Stop taking medication," and I know it was God. And I
And how many
stopped
days was this? How many days were you
was
taking it?
this was the fourth day. This was on
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay. So you're sent home from the hospital
Hmm.
after
Hmm.
you called the ambulance on your own. You're sent
Hmm.
home. You were kept in the hospital overnight, sent home with Motrin. So
Hmm.
for 4 days, you're medicating yourself with Motrin and Tylenol.
Absolutely.
When do you make another move before you say, okay, I better do something before I fall out?
On Friday morning, I called my son and I
The
said,
fifth day.
the fifth day, I
Okay.
have got to get to the hospital because it got worse. This time, at this time, now I'm thinking this has got to be coronavirus. There is nothing other. I'm watching the TV and I'm hearing things and I'm saying everything that I have is what they're talking about. So I figure, oh, this hospital don't know what the heck they're talking about. So what do I do? I go to a different hospital. And when I walked, and my son dropped me off. He never got out the car. He dropped me off, and I walked myself. I walked in there by myself, and as I walked through the doors, there was a security guard. There was one patient waiting in the lobby, and it was other personnel, medical personnel. So I walked through the door, and I feel like I'm going to fall out, and I say, I need some help. When I said I need some help, all I was saying is get me a wheelchair to get me up here to tell you what's going on. Well,
Right.
before you can go in the hospital all the way, the police officer starts to question. And so for everything about, the screening for coronavirus, everything he asked me, I yes, yes, yes. And at that point, oh my God, you should have saw his eyes. He jumped up and he started to step back. I thought he was going to get me a wheelchair. He stepped back. The other personnel that was in there, they stepped back. Again, people don't come to you, they run away from you. And that in itself was just not a good taste in my mouth. So I finally, at some point, I'm looking at who's going to help me. And so I finally realized nobody's going to help me. So I started going towards the closest person that I saw. And at that point, then everybody want to point me to another isolated room. And when I got in that room, the same testing started over again. They did blood work. They did. They never still at this point. I have not been tested for the coronavirus in the hospital, this second hospital. They didn't do the nose swab there. They checked my temperature. They checked regular vital signs. And then a doctor came in and she said, you have pneumonia on your lungs. And
Pneumonia.
pneumonia on my
Okay,
upper.
so they did all this testing and you
Mm-hmm,
have the pneumonia.
mm-hmm, on the
Okay,
upper right quadrant of my
on the
lungs.
lungs.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and so at that time, now I'm really thinking coronavirus. I mean, if I ever had any doubt up to that point, I knew then that it was the coronavirus.
So they sent you home
They did.
with the
And the doctor,
pneumonia.
with pneumonia on my lung, and the doctor said to me, she said, the pneumonia doesn't look, it's not what we look for. That particular pattern doesn't look like what we look for in coronavirus. She said, but I'm going to go ahead and treat you as if you have the coronavirus. And I think at that point, that may have saved my life. Because I was coughing. I couldn't hardly breathe when I walked in there. And still, even when I left, it was the same way. But they
Okay.
sent me.
So they diagnose you with pneumonia, but they
Mhm.
treat you as
Adult
if you
pneumonia.
have the coronavirus.
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay,
they
they
did.
didn't do the swab.
Mhm.
They're just treating you as if you had the coronavirus. So they send you home, and what are your instructions?
To follow up with my primary care doctor. Now, this was on Friday. This was on a Friday. They sent me home and say, Monday, follow up with your primary care doctor. And I did follow up with my primary care doctor. Um, Tuesday, I think is no Monday. I called and she called me back on Monday, and I had the telehealth interview with her over the phone, and she said, "Well, we're going to send you for the test." Now, this is the first time that the coronavirus testing was mentioned, and she said the center that collects the specimens are closed today because of the weather. So I ended up doing it the next day. So at this point, we're now at what, 7 days? Is it? Yeah, 7 days. I'm at 7 days now. Still, I have not had the test, but I'm taking the erythromycin that they gave me. And then, of course, you were on the phone with me that day that I had the test. The next day, they sent the referral over, and I went over,
Okay,
and
so you had to have a referral to get
I have
tested.
yeah, you had to have a referral to be tested.
And it wasn't a building, it was one of these drive-through
One of the
places.
drive-throughs,
Okay,
absolutely
so you have been to two hospitals,
right.
stayed overnight,
Mm-hmm.
still not diagnosed with the coronavirus.
Not at
They
all.
send you home diagnosed first time with the flu or a
Mhm.
virus, the second time with
Right.
pneumonia, and you're
Mhm.
just progressively getting worse. Okay,
Absolutely.
so you get a referral to go get tested through a
Right.
drive through. And I
Hmm.
do remember that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I don't know how we ended up on the phone, but I was on the phone
Yeah.
with
Right.
you when
Yeah.
you got tested.
Mm-hmm.
And Isolena, I can still hear you moaning,
Mm-hmm.
groaning.
Mm-hmm.
I got a weak stomach anyway. I was like, my God, what are they doing? So
Absolutely.
share that experience. Some people can take that testing, some people can't. You didn't have a good experience with
I
your
did not
testing.
have a good experience at all. Linda. You're absolutely correct. And and I must say right off the top that it was a terrible test, but to have someone on the other end, an adult, someone that understood where I was, gave me comfort. So I'd say thank you for being there because you could have just said, no, I can't take it, hang up the phone.
Well,
But at
that's what
that
I was
time,
saying in my head. Bent over.
such a good friend. Oh my God, thank you. But at that time, Lavinda, when of course you remember when I first pulled in, uh, you have to stop 3 times. You can't roll your window down, and you pass out your ID through about this much of your window, and then they pass the paperwork back through there. You put it on the um, dashboard, drive to the second location, and then they come out, verify the paperwork, and then they put paperwork on the outside of the car under the windshield wiper. And then I arrived to the part where they put the swab in my nose, where it was
Okay,
more
what
than.
was going on? I think what was going on in your head? You pull up and you
Mm-hmm.
see they're dressed out, right? They've got on the whole suit, everything. What is
Right.
going on in your head? You are driving up to get tested for the coronavirus. What are you feeling?
I thought I had, I thought I had fallen into a Stephen King's movie or something. It was just that terrible for me, and
Unreal.
yeah, it was so unreal that I was there. Anybody could have been there, but not me.
Anybody else but not.
I
And I
washed.
think that's the thing. We don't think we can get it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? We take the precautions thinking that we can, but like I
Right.
said, when it hits home, my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you go through, how many days did it take? I don't even want to go through the swab part. Do you think
I
we
know
should
it because
share
it was
that?
hideous.
No,
It was hideous. I can
I
share it.
can't even stand to hear. But you
Yeah,
know
it was.
what? Go ahead and share because somebody might need to hear it. Maybe they'll wash their hands a little bit more
I
or
know, right?
something. Go ahead and share
Well,
your
when you get there,
experience.
they tell you don't roll down the window until we tell you to, and they want you to put your head back, keep your mask on, bring it only down to here, to your under your nostrils, and hold your head back. And of course, you
Uh,
have car in park. And once you put that car in park, they go right up your nose, and
uh,
it was really sharp. It
uh,
was almost you know for
uh,
women, if you've ever had a
stop.
biopsy it was similar to that. And while they're doing this, you feel the blood running down the back of your.
Ah,
And I'm
my
thinking, what in
God.
the world is going on? So after they're done, you roll your window up and you pull off. They expect for you to pull right
Uh,
off. I can't pull off now because I'm
uh,
drinking blood,
uh,
and so
okay.
anyway, yeah, it was
Uh,
blood clots when I blowed my nose, and that was for a couple of hours. Yeah.
did
So
they
and
go
then
up too far or what?
girl, I don't know. I thought they was gonna pull my little hair out through my nose.
Gee,
I don't know, but it was a hideous test.
well, I guess
I
you want to
don't.
make sure they want to make sure they get whatever they're trying to get. God
Right? Yeah,
forbid you have to do it again because they didn't get
girl, they
enough of
got more
whatever
than me.
they're. Okay, so you go home, and how many days is it before you get your test results?
Oh God, about 2.5 weeks.
My
About
goodness. Okay,
yeah,
you had
yeah.
your granddaughter with you. You
Mm-hmm.
had your granddaughter
Mm-hmm.
living with you. You're
Right.
you're not sure if you have coronavirus.
Right.
How did you feel about her contracting the coronavirus if you did test positive? What kind of precautions, if any, did you take?
Uh, Number one, the way that I felt terrified, and I felt as if I was not going to be able to protect her because I had to assist her. But because she's a good girl. She knows a lot of stuff.
How old is she
She's
again?
she's 10. Yeah,
10.
she's
Okay.
10 and she's very intelligent. So I was able to keep her at a distance. And she and I had the conversation and she was like, okay, Nanny. And like nothing, and I'm thinking, oh my God. So she learned to cook her own breakfast. and clean and washed her hands. But what we did was I bought a thermometer. I had someone bring me a thermometer, and she checked her temperature 3 times a day and kept a
Wow.
journal 3 times a day. She checked her own temperature and she did that. And if it changed a little bit, she was just there saying, "Hey, Nanny, is this today? Is that today?" And I listened, and that helped me. But what we did when I went to the bathroom, I used disinfectant wipes anyway. Before I sit on the toilet and when I get up, and then I wash my hands and I clean the whole bathroom. And even with me being sick, it was terrible. It was hard to do, but we did do it. We didn't I didn't drink out of any of the utensils in there. I drink Perrier water, so I drank out of the Perrier or the other water bottles because I drank the case of water in a week. It's very
Wow.
important to have a lot of water. And so we did that, and she stayed in the room, and my sons came and got her and took her out, And also, we raised the windows in the house, and
Okay.
by raising the windows, you let the air in, So
Okay.
that's some of
So
the
your
confidence.
sons were coming in and out. Now, see, my
Oh yeah,
thinking would be nobody in, nobody out
yeah.
until
It
I
should have
find
been
out for sure if I have the virus. Did they have
exactly.
on masks? Because I know your
No,
sons are like, no, I don't believe this. We ain't believe in no coronavirus.
you know
You
my
know?
boy. No, they didn't. They didn't throughout the whole thing. And let me tell you something. By the time I had this test and received my test results, I was really kind of headed up. I was still laid out, but I felt my help come on. I can sit up a little bit now. And until I received that positive test, it was like everybody just left me. I was like, this ain't the
Wow.
time to leave me now. You should
Wow.
have left me in the
Wow.
beginning. But they were
It
there the
got
whole time.
real.
It got real. And I mean, it was for like 3 days. My granddaughter they took the granddaughter, everybody was gone. Everybody just deserted me, you know.
And that's what we don't realize.
Yeah, it's
Once you
crazy.
are tested positive,
Mhm.
you are on your own.
You're on your own. Absolutely. I agree.
You
I
have to be quarantined.
agree. Yeah.
And then
And,
it's
and
real, nobody in, nobody out. So you're taking
absolutely.
care of yourself
Hmm.
by yourself. No
Exactly.
help.
Everything. Everything. Nobody was here to do anything. And there were times, Lavinda, let me tell you, and I know it's gross, there was times when I knew I was not going to be able to get off that sofa after I went to the bathroom that time. Honey, I had to get me a towel and put it where I needed it to be. And
Really.
yeah, yeah. It sounds terrible. I took a shower liner and laid it on the
Bless your heart.
yeah,
My
on
goodness.
my furniture, and there I was. I mean, what do
So
you do?
what was the worst symptom? Actually, you only had what you had the fatigue, the feeling tired, you had no coughing. Did you ever have a temperature?
I had a low grade temp. I did have the coughing, and
Okay, so the coughing
after that Friday,
came.
the Friday, yeah,
Okay.
that's why I couldn't get to the bathroom like I needed to because the coughing was so intense. Until at a certain age, I'm 54 years old. You sneeze, you wet, or you cough wrong, you wet, and that comes from having them babies. I mean, we all women we have that, but however, there was just no way to
But you
get
didn't
it.
have the coughing initially. You didn't
I
have the
did not.
coughing when they diagnosed you with the pneumonia. So
I
the
did not.
coughing started after you got tested, before you got the
Well,
results.
no, it happened. The coughing was there on Thursday before I went to the hospital on Friday. That was one of the reasons why I knew I needed to go to the second hospital. Go to that
Okay.
same hospital that I chose a second
Okay.
hospital. So
That
the
was a
coughing started.
pneumonia.
That's when the pneumonia started. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's how they did the chest x-ray because I was coughing when I got there. Like I said, when the guy
Okay.
asked me the questions for the screening, I had every symptom, everything. And because I sat there and I thought back, I when I got to my daughter's house on the morning of the 22nd, I love grits and eggs. I couldn't even taste them. And that's just hindsight. Because I wondered when I got out, I said, why didn't I eat all my grits and eggs? I love
See,
my grits
that's
and
when it
eggs.
would have been real for me if I can't taste my
But
grits.
at that
Uh-uh.
point, I was still thinking, no, I ain't got no coronavirus. I hadn't even thought coronavirus at this point. No, I didn't. I hadn't even thought it. But to be there on that sofa, Lavinda, for that amount of time, I think 2.5 weeks, I think it was, I was on that sofa and couldn't do anything. It, again, it becomes so, so real. And I begin to think within myself, wow, I'm not going to have, I'm probably just going to die, because that Tuesday I just felt like I wanted to die. And had it not been for my baby brother, thank God for him calling me to speak life into me, I was ready to give up. It was well with my soul.
It
Wherever
was
I
that
was,
bad.
yeah, it was just that
It's
bad.
even hard to process what you're saying, to
Right,
feel
because
physically that
yeah,
bad. So when you
yeah,
finally got when the phone rang with the results,
they said, Miss Taylor, this is the Department of Health. And it's so funny. I'm laughing because I laughed at them because I knew that I was going to get over this thing. This is the Leon County Department of Health, and we called to let you know that your COVID-19 results came back positive. I was like, really? And Lavinda, I like to say that I'm happy that I didn't know I had it right away, because I feel like I would have worried myself more knowing that I had
waiting.
it, waiting, absolutely. So for me not to know right away, it was good for me. I don't know about anybody else. It was good for me because I probably would have really been scared for my granddaughter and my children as well. I needed the visits from my children during that time. So I can't imagine someone being in the hospital and not being able to have someone in, because I'm a social butterfly.
Yes, you
You
are.
know, and
Yeah.
so and so I needed that. I really needed them to come to be around during that time, and because it really kept me going. So to have coronavirus, it's not a pretty thing. It's the worst thing that I've ever experienced, and I guess the worst thing I've ever had was children and migraine. You can't even compare it to that. You can't
So
compare it to that because you're
do you
helpless.
do you think you went to the hospital twice, diagnosed with pneumonia and diagnosed with a virus, not coronavirus, but flu-like virus?
Right,
Do you
right.
think if you had, well, there's really nothing you could do because there's nothing they give you for the coronavirus. It just has to pass,
That's
right?
right.
The
That's right.
quarantine, it just has to pass. So you
That's right.
went through this, you probably had it from the jump, from the
Yes.
first hospital when you started feeling tired.
Right. I believe that.
So, so for how many weeks you had to be quarantined after they called you and said, okay, you tested positive. So
Mhm.
what did they tell you to do? What were your instructions?
Well, after I was quarantined, there was 14 days that I had to wait. I had to quarantine 14 days, and then and they call every day, and they follow the symptoms for 14 days,
Okay.
and then after the 14 days, and if the symptoms are still there, I continue on. I went through 28, probably about 31 days of that. Before I got a chance to go and be tested again,
Okay.
because you
And
can
when
only
did
be
you,
tested
so you said about 28 days,
about
then
28 days later.
you started feeling a little bit better
Yes,
each day.
yeah,
Were you
yeah.
taking anything? What were you doing to help yourself?
Well, what I was doing to help myself, I started doing the orange peel and the lemon peel with salt and ginger in it, and I would, have the steam. You know how you do the steam, like
Right.
mid, yeah, and keep the mucus down. I drank a lot of water. I
Okay, hold
also
on.
again,
Stop right there. For those of you who aren't familiar, you've probably seen it on Facebook. It's somewhere on Facebook where you boil lemon peel, orange peel, basically citrus. I call it a citrus steam with sea
uh-huh,
salt. You bring it to a boil and you let it go up your nose because the heat is supposed to kill, right?
hmm
Again, we're
hmm
not doctors. We are not doctors. This is on experience. And
right,
when I go into Coronaville, when I have to leave the house, every time I come home, I do that steam just for preventive measures. So the
right,
steam it really does help because
It
it
does.
gets right up your nose, your nostril. So you did that, and you drink a lot of water.
I drink a lot of water. And, for me, I would say treat the symptoms. If I had a temperature, I treated the temperature with Tylenol. If I had a cough, when I had the cough, I treated the cough with cough drops and a cough syrup. And if I, for because you're so hot, when you're one of the symptoms I had, I was so hot until my teeth felt like hot rocks.
Your
And I,
teeth.
yeah, it was just my whole mouth was just so hot. And I drank so much water.
My
I tell you, I drank
goodness.
a case of water a week. That's just the the water. I think it was 40 bottles in there. I did that in a week's time.
So
Had no,
feeling hot. It wasn't like a
yeah,
hot flash. You were
yeah,
just constantly hot. It didn't come and go.
constantly hot. Yeah, that's
You
why
were
I ain't
just
going to hell. I ain't going to hell. Yeah, that was hot. And then I, and then I also excuse me. I also did hot tea and honey and excuse me and lemon. Hot tea
okay.
and honey and lemon. I did that as well, and um, and I did a detox. I did a detox. And so the detox that I did was just simply berries and water with lemon and apple cider vinegar. And that was to
Okay.
just, I kind of reached back to where grandmama would have did. I didn't want to do the other thing they would have done because I couldn't have made it to the bathroom. So I figured I better
Right.
do, that detox there. So that did
Right.
help in rest. If your body is tired, just rest. Just rest because you're not gonna get you can there's nothing you can do to get better but get better. Treat your symptoms, do what your body tell you to do because I know we have all these doctors and like you say, we're not doctors. But one thing I do know is my body. I've been with my body longer than anybody has been around me. So I know my body better than anybody and I know what to do for my body. They treat our symptoms. So I knew to treat my symptoms. I knew to get the rest. I knew to turn the lights off and the TV. Sometimes it was even too much for me to even look at TV, you know. But I think Lavinda, in it all, through what I went through, I made it out. Thank God I made it out. What bothers me more than having that coronavirus is the post coronavirus. That
Now,
is big.
okay. Yes, post coronavirus. First
Hmm.
of all, you got your, because that's a whole nother story. Oh my goodness. We're going to, first, let me ask, you got your taste back. You look good. You don't look like you had coronavirus. So
Girl.
you got your taste back. You
Hmm.
feel like your normal self again. You feel like
Now
Isolena.
I do, yes.
Yeah, you
Pretty
do.
much. I don't really feel like Isolena because Isolena would probably be saying, okay, we're going to get this done. And then I'm off to the mall or off somewhere doing something. I'm always doing something. And the reason that I say that is because it's hard going outside. I'll go out. I go and do my 5 mile walk in the morning, but it's before people hit the street almost, because I don't want to be in that traffic. I'll go to the grocery store, but I try to get in early morning when the store first open and I have
Yeah,
my
I
list
do
of
that
things
too.
to get out.
Yeah.
So it's, sleeping is not good for me. I typically get my 8 hours of sleep. Uh, since this post coronavirus thing, I haven't been able to get my average sleep is probably about 4.5 hours. I think it was like 6 hours last week. It was my average, but 4.5 hours is what I've been kind of operating on. Uh, During the week, I'll get a nod in and feel like I've slept, but I'm not back to where I can get out in the public eye and do the things that I used to do. And that is what concerns me the most.
What
The
about your
post.
energy level? Did that come back?
Well, no, not really. I'm not fully back to where I could be. Even though I get out there and I walk, but I walk to clear my mind as well as, my health, but it helps to clear my mind for the day. And if I want to get sleep at night, force myself, like today, I force myself to stay awake so that probably about 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock, I'll fall off to sleep. Typically, my bedtime is this time, but
Wow. That's
yeah,
what, seven,
I'm
almost
not
8 o'clock for
sleeping.
you, your time.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sleeping. So
And
that is,
psychologically,
yeah.
you feel like you still have it or you might get it. Did they tell you that you couldn't get it? What did they tell you? Are you corona free? Do you wear a mask now?
Of course, last night, of course, I interviewed the epidemiologist who
Yeah,
works at the Department of Health, and she assured me because I have the antibodies that I can't get it right now.
right
That's what
now.
right now. I heard the right now, and I don't know. Maybe she meant that I wouldn't be able to get it at all, but I heard the right
No,
now.
that's not what that means. She said
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. And so I do wear a mask. I wear a mask when I walk. No, I don't wear a mask. No, I don't wear a
Did you
mask.
ask her what she meant, Isolena? What do you mean
I
I
did
can't get
not.
it right now?
Yeah, and I'll probably reach out to her and ask her that because in this discussion now, right now sticks out. And so, and I don't know. Now, I will tell you, I do know. There are different strands. There are so many strands of this virus, and that is what I needed to ask her. How many strands? And I think it's like 30 strands of this virus.
My gosh. And
Yeah,
explain
I'm
what
not
you mean when you
sure.
say 30 strands of the virus. What?
I had COVID-19 NOS 2 or something. So it goes 2, 3, all the way up to 30. So
And that's
there's
based on symptoms or what?
I'm not sure. I really don't have that
So
information.
it's probably different levels of
Huh.
it. So the people who are asymptomatic, they could have one of those strands and just not show the
Anytime.
symptoms.
That's right. No symptoms at all.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get my head out of it. I don't want to make this about me, but you know what? When you say,
And know you. Yeah, yeah,
oh
Lavender.
my goodness.
Yes, Lavender.
So
Come on.
we just need to realize that it is real. And like
It's
you
very.
said, we know our bodies. We know when something is off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like you knew before you were tested that you had coronavirus.
I did. Yes. Yes.
Even now, you know something is not right. So you're
That's
dealing with, are you still under
absolutely.
doctor's care?
I am under the doctor's care, and I started seeing a therapist. Um, it's hard to find therapists now, of course, because of the post corona and, of course, other things. Also, I'm looking for a psychiatrist. Because I need that assistance.
Do you
I ain't
mind
praying.
sharing why you felt the need for a therapist and psychiatrist? Do you feel like sharing?
No, I don't mind. The reason I need a therapist is because I need to talk it out. I need
Okay.
someone to, help me figure out where I am. I know how I got here, but I need to figure out how to get out of here. You
Now, when
know,
you say out of here, explain that, Isolina.
out of here meaning that I feel as if I'm in a closed in area. I feel, back in the day, there was this movie called The Bubble Man or Bubble One.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm in a
yeah,
bubble and I can only go so far.
really.
Maybe, yeah, I can only go so far. Um, and I feel that I need a psychiatrist because there are times where I can just be sitting and just break down. Just what's going on? Why am I crying? Nothing's happening. Like an old pregnant woman, you just start crying for nothing. I don't know.
And you know
And
what?
so,
I have noticed in some of my reading about the coronavirus, now they're starting to talk about post
yeah, it's
corona.
serious. It's serious. And as if you remember, you were on last night when we spoke with the epidemiologist. She was like, "That's good information." They don't ask that, but that is imperative. There is no way that I can go back to my job and work right now and be effective for my company. And
And you're
so
on furlough.
I'm still on furlough. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm under doctor's care, so I wouldn't be able to go back to work anyway. I haven't been released by my doctor to say go back to work.
And if you are seeing a therapist and seeking a psychiatrist, you may not go back to
God,
work.
oh my God, that's a
Now,
whole nother story.
it is another story.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're almost out of time, but you're writing a book.
Yes.
Now, this is where the pom poms come out for me. You ordered this. You ordered the Corona
Yes.
journal, and you
Yeah.
have been journaling,
I have
and
been. I have
and you
been.
said that helps. Like you said, you needed to talk it out.
Yeah. And journaling helps too. It did help.
Journaling helps
Yeah,
you.
you got me this time. I had to get the coronavirus to write this book, but yeah.
It's a doggone shame. Just a
I know.
doggone
I was
shame.
like, what the world? Lavinda want me to write a book?
And you know
But
what? You can't possibly share on this platform in an hour all that you. There's so much
it's so
more
much
to
more,
the
Lavinda.
story that you just
Yeah.
can't share. We don't have the time for you to share. Well, it would take a book, but you also have an article a little bit
Yes.
more about it coming up in the upcoming issue of the Other Woman magazine. So yes, journaling did help you. You know,
Hmm.
Isolena, what would you tell those who don't believe that the coronavirus is real? Those who don't take it seriously. You know, I have a son who is, he's out there. You know, you got to
Yeah.
go to work. You got to
Yeah.
come home. You know, you take the precautions that you need to, but so far as just going out when you don't need to go out. I mean, this is 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
of, oh my goodness, people are gathering. What did the
Mhm.
Labake say last night? They can't call it parties
The
now, they're calling it
coronavirus party.
gatherings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and social distancing.
Yeah.
So, what would you tell those people who just don't believe that it's real? They
I
can't
would
get it
say
because you thought that. You said
exactly.
that. I
And that's
can't get
exactly what I was
it.
going to say. Yeah. For me, what I'll tell them is, listen, you're looking at someone that was where you were. I'm not going to get coronavirus. I'm always clean. I'm doing this. I'm washing my hands. Let me let you know it's out there. It's so real. And if you don't believe it's real, continue to do what you're doing, and you will experience it. I don't want that for anybody. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Cover your coughs. Cough in your arm, and also when you come in from outside, what I did, and even so now, I take my clothes off in a certain place, in the same place, your
I do
shoes,
too.
everything
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the same place. And
right.
the coronavirus is so real, guys. And if you don't believe it, continue to watch the numbers. The numbers don't lie.
And that's
Give
what she said. How do you say that? Epidemiologist,
epidemiologist,
epidemiologist.
Labake,
Yeah, she said that the cases are just coming up.
yeah. Last
They're
night they had
increasing,
243 cases
and that's in
overnight
Leon
in
County.
Leon
And for those,
County. Yes,
Leon
I think
County
it's.
is Tallahassee, Florida area. But
Mhm.
she was supposed to be on tonight, and she
Right.
was just getting off work. Things, she's on call. She wasn't
Yeah.
able to make it. So
Right.
I'm thinking, okay, you make up your own mind if you're going to believe it, the
That's
virus or
right.
not.
That's right. But it's real.
Even the mask. So
Yeah.
you are wearing a mask now.
I do wear a mask. I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do wear a mask. I keep and another thing, you want to change your mask out. I don't know if they ever tell people change those things out, and wear it. Like I said, I don't
Wash
wear
it.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you look like that when I said wash
Because
it?
I have disposable ones. I just don't want to
Okay.
even. Yeah, you can. Well, I'm sure you can wash your mask because they're.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I have yet to buy a mask. I have the
Well,
scarves that I
go
wear
through
and
it.
tie and put.
Yeah. You
I
go.
know,
Well,
but
you wear a mask too, Lavenda.
but when I do, but when I do, I just tie it on and I put a paper towel or two
Which
in
is
it. It's double layered, but when I
yeah,
take it off, it goes in the washing machine.
absolutely.
Everything
And
goes
keep
in the
your
washing
glasses on.
machine.
Keep your glasses on because the stuff can get in your eyes as well
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
But
Okay,
Lavenda, I
go ahead.
I have a few minutes. What I want to say, and it'll be in the article. Um, Somewhere in between the beginning and the end, all I could think is that I was not going to be able to have a formal funeral. I
Have a
wouldn't
what?
have a formal funeral.
Oh my goodness.
I thought that I'd never see my children because at this point they had left me. Everybody was like, we ain't going to mama's house, poison. I also had to post a note on my door so that my neighbors could know. And so I figured I'd never see anybody outside of this house again at some point.
Oh my
And yeah,
gosh.
not see my mom. I can talk to people on the phone. And as I said, the worst part about it, when if had I perished, I was going to perish alone. And that was the worst thing. So people, listen, this thing is real. It's so real. I would have loved to be, I've been on furlough and I'm still on furlough, but I would have loved to have been at work doing what I do because that's my passion. And now to have my passion snatched almost away from me, people is my passion. And, and just being, so
People
having that taken
person.
away from me, yeah, it's
Did
a
you
lot.
ever say how you contracted it? Did you ever say you said you were at work?
From someone there, from a worker there at the clinic. Yeah.
So was there close contact or you don't know? Because
Yes,
Labaki
there was.
said last night, once someone tests positive, they have to contact everybody that that person has been in
I know, right?
contact
It's
with.
like having a venereal
That's a lot
disease.
of, yeah. Oh,
It is. You gotta put
I
everybody on the
know.
list you smell with.
Everybody on the list. So when you
Yeah,
limit your goings and comings, at least you can kind of fine tune where you might
right.
have contracted it from. So you knew you got it from
Absolutely.
work.
I do.
Um, just, oh my goodness. People
Even though
have to
I'm a
go to
people
work.
person. Yeah, yeah. Even though I'm a people person, I narrow down where I go. I work, church, and home. And during that week, I hadn't been to any church, hadn't been to the grocery store. It was only work and home, really, literally work and home. So I know that's where it come from. And the person that I work side by side with to, try not to put the information out, to finish up, to reconcile what I do. The person I work alongside, I think, is who exposed me, who was in turn exposed by someone in her office. And the craziest thing about that, her daughter, and her daughter was pregnant. All three of them was hospitalized, and she, till this day, she's still having some difficulties with her breathing.
My
So, people, it's
goodness.
real. It's real. Please know that
And
it's real.
nobody else in your family
Nobody
got
caught
it.
it because
Nobody
they was all
caught it.
intubated. Yeah, they were all breastfed. Yeah.
Okay. Well, perfect timing. That's it, Isolina. I just so appreciate you sharing your journey through the coronavirus and still recovering and all that is before you and ahead of you and what you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like I say, when it hits home, when you
Yeah.
told me you were positive, that's when it
Hmm.
hit home for me.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, my goodness, it's just, you don't know what to say. You just have to take
Absolutely.
care of yourself and for everyone to just keep washing your hands. You can't
Right.
stress that
Right.
enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And Levin, I want to thank you and the other woman in Candy Publishing for having me on tonight and to share because this is truly, truly therapy for me. It's really therapy for me.
Like you said, you got to get it out.
Yeah, you have
You
to.
know, it's like having an accident. I don't know. There's somebody on. I'm not going to call her name, but I remember having an accident, and
Hmm.
I kept talking about that accident. I kept talking about it, and their husband was like, "Oh, here she go again, talking about." It. But you know what? It helped me to talk about it, just
Right,
like
right.
when you go through something. So that's almost like a form of PTSD that you're
Yeah. And
dealing with.
I have been
That's
diagnosed with
traumatic.
it.
Have
Yes,
you really?
I have been. Yes. Yes.
Good
PTSD.
gracious, my
Yeah,
goodness. So, hey, you're not just wearing a mask to protect others, you're wearing a mask to protect yourself and your
absolutely.
life as we once know, as we know it.
Absolutely. The
It's
new
just
life.
not a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all. What does that say? Change them and wash them. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. And Isolena, your what's the name of your ministry? Titus 2
Titus
Reloaded.
Titus 2 Reloaded.
And you
Yes.
have a Facebook
We're
page.
on Facebook. Is yes.
And
And
you
what we
do Zoom.
on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. No, no, no. Thursday and Saturday. That's another. Thursday and Saturday at 7 p.m. We do Zoom, and you can check the Titus 2 page and join us. We don't always do it live on Facebook or YouTube because there is some personal stuff that we share. But yeah, we are helping women transition and deal with being home now. We actually had a discussion a couple of weeks ago about the mother home with the children and what does she do.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, so you all can like her page, Titus 2 Reloaded. And again, thank you, Isolena. You take care of yourself. And hey, you guys wash your hands and
yes,
over and over again. And thank you
yes.
guys for tuning in.
Social
Appreciate you
distance.
guys.
Yes. Have a
All
good night.
righty. Bye bye.